Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om A Guru Vajra Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om A Guru Vajradhara Sumatimo Nishasa Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Pakyöke kudan dagi lo pakyöke sundan dagi pakyöke tudan dagi ten yerme çıktı çingi lo makyöke kudan dagi lo makyöke sundan dagi Ma köke tuğdan da geyi ten yerme çıktı çingelo. Om Muni Muni Maha Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Muni Swaha. Sashipeke Choshimeto Tramare Rabalinshi Nidegempadi Sange Shintu Mikte Ulvarki Drokun Namda Shingla Chopar Shoyidam Guru Radna Mindrala Kam Niryatayami Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsochi Dagi Chujin Gibe Sonamge Drola Pinchra Sangye Drupar Sho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsochi Dagi Chujin Gibe Sonamge Drola Pinchra Sangye Drupar Sho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsochi Dagi Chiso Gibe Sonamki Drola Pinchra Sangye Druparasho.
In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. With the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I obtain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Namo Yal Haye ke dan lu da nue jin ke rubun da mi ke nam dam drowa kuin ge ranama che champa thamje ke to da gi chete.
Sometimes I hear people who say that it's hard for them to visualize. Some come to me and they talk about visualizations in the smallest of details, and there are others, on the other hand, who say that they can't visualize anything. I just want to say something that has to do with visualizing. So it's not something that, let's say that we all have different predispositions with regarding visualization, but it's about imagining. So if I said, can you visualize the bed that you slept in last night? Or just imagine it. Can you have an idea that at a certain point you'll go home and you're able to imagine the bed where you'll sleep? Or not just the image of the bed, but can you imagine like sitting on the bed? For example, when I get back to my bed, I'm like, I I'm I the first thing I do when I go somewhere is I feel the mattress. I grew up with always with a hard mattress. I mean, this has nothing to do with this is a side note. I mean, if the mattress is too soft, I'll sleep on the floor. So when I get home, I can't wait to get into my bed, my futon bed, and I sleep so well. So what happens is, I mean, we're able to imagine. We're able to imagine meeting someone that we love. We can daydream about meeting this person. Okay, tomorrow, it would be so beautiful if I met this person. I mean, we're able to do that, aren't we? This is visualizing. Actually, this ability used badly is also the causes of our stress, anxiety. We're imagining threats. In front of a threat, we have this reaction of stress. I mean, this is imagining. This is visualizing. When we imagine something, anything, our body, our system reacts to that thing as if it were true. So imagining something beautiful activates something within. It activates as if we were in front of that thing that's so beautiful. And so it can, depending on what we imagine, we have this physical reaction. If it's something beautiful, our body releases oxytocin. If we go to a restaurant, for example, and as we're reading the menu, we're imagining, right? Oh, there's this or that. Okay. So this like spaghetti alla carbonara, if you're not vegan, maybe you can imagine it. So So we're constantly using our imagination to visualize. When we so, and it's not like having that image just like printed in front of you, as if you had that we had some kind of magic lenses. So when we use the word visualize, it gives the idea that we need to see that. So yes and no, but if we imagine, then for me it's a little bit. It's more important for me to be like in the presence of. It's and the specific details for me are a little bit more difficult. So like an illustration, is it's just something to generate this feeling. So we can all visualize. It's something we do all the time. The difference here is that we're imagining something, we're inducing within this practice. It's a kind of like, it makes me think about when I was at school. There was this role play. That's when I was at school, where there's a story and everyone is has a different role, and we needed to take different decisions. There you get into it, you live all of that, you create this reality, and then different practices, so somehow they're like that. You are creating a reality, you're imagining. So when Guru Buddha enters within, absorbs into you, and everything just dissolves into light, and then we arise in this beautiful place. And in front of us there's the embodiment of wisdom and love and faith and stability and joy. We're in his presence. Wow. And we live this. We try to really live it to the fullest. Sometimes we have this strange attitude, like, oh, it's not true. This is just an imagination. But one of the most real things in our lives is what we imagine, our thoughts. Because this it makes about 90% of our own experience is there. So what we imagine directs our mind. It's very strong. It directs our experience. So in imagining, we can add details that can be added once one has the calm and that inner space to elaborate the visualization. So one shouldn't, try too much too soon if it creates anxiety, and one needs to also understand the meaning of it all. Here, I've taken this book, which is the same book as the Italian one, but from the original Tibetan. It was it was translated into Italian, published by Chiara Luce Publications. And then there's this one. I don't know if there's an Italian translation of this one, but this is from, it's a translation, a different translator, and in English it's called Liberation in Our Hands. It's still Pabonka Rinpoche, and it has 3 volumes. So someone who wants to deepen your understanding, it's in English and in Spanish, Liberation in Our Hands. It's a different translation, and I think some aspects are better. And there are different appendixes where there are different practices, etc. And there's also this drawing of the merit field. And here it's a little bit far for you, but here, even though if it's far, you see that there's just lots on it, right? So we're trying to visualize that central figure, and then there's everything else. So for example, if you see here above, there are 5 rows, vertical rows. There's the same image near the kitchen door here on the side. So these are the various lineages that come, lines of transmission that come to Lama Tsong Khapa. And above each one is the name of each one. So those who are able to visualize in the, to the fullest detail, they know also the names. And then at the side of each master, one visualizes the texts that they wrote according to the number of volumes. Like Lama Tsong Khapa wrote 18 volumes, so one would visualize 18 texts. So this would be very, very small details, fine details. I repeat, I don't think that most of us, once I was in Tibet and following teachings of Kajun Losang Punsok, of the abbot of Tashi Lumpo, and one of his disciples who was one of his disciples came and he was asking him questions, and it was like the details of the details of the details. I was listening to them speak, and I was really touched because I had read many times, but I thought, well, can someone actually do that? Instead, there were two that were talking about like how to make the spaghetti sauce. It's carrot, celery. I mean, it just was so easy, such like daily living advice kind of thing. But they were the exception. So let's start from simple. So after this, I'll leave this here if you'd like to see it. And then here you can see just as an idea. It's not that complex actually. We have Lama Tsong Khapa in the center, as it represents the guru. At the heart, there's Buddha Shakyamuni, and his heart is Vajradhara, and above are the lines of transmission, and on the sides are the 2 lineages. To the right of Lama Tsong Khapa, we have the vast lineage, Buddha Shakyamuni to Maitreya, disciple of Buddha Shakyamuni, and then Maitreya to his disciples, and then to the left of Lama Tsong Khapa, we have Manjushri, the lineage, the profound lineage. So we have the emphasis on a method and the 6 perfections, and the method and the wisdom. And then they both lineages came from so it's like it's not 3-dimensional, but it's like on petals, no? So here you can see all the different manifestations of the Buddha, the yidams, and according to the classes of Tantra. The Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, the Dakas, Dakinis, and then the Dharma protectors are at the bottom around. And those are the holy beings. So along this practice of meditation, one can put emphasis on Yamantaka or Goya Samadra. And here we have the Lama Tsong Khapa, who transmitted all of these practice. So when one does a practice, one imagines that it comes from the lineage. So if it were three-dimensional at the center, like if you have the center on a petal, and then you have the various the holy beings around, the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas. But now we're focusing on the central figure. And then if you want to go into more details, one can visualize first of all, the main one and his subtle body. There's the central channel, the side channels, the 5 chakras, and within each chakra of the 5 chakras, you visualize the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, the 5 Great Mothers. Why do we do all this? One reason is because with the visualization, actually, one trains one's mind in concentration. It's one technique to train in getting the mind to follow what we want, because our mind, I always say, mind stay here, and what does the mind do? It's not there, it doesn't stay there. One main reason for this is because since we're little, we're used to concentrating on external objects and jumping from one object to another. And our mind is made up of habits. So what happens is, in trying to help our mind familiarize itself with an inner object and staying still on an object, the visualization is a great bridge that helps. One begins visualizing, adding details. This helps little by little to train our mind, making it busy with, so that it actually follows what we want it to do. A quick side note, as an exercise to train in concentration that I really like, because when we try to develop our concentration, we need to remember that it shouldn't be a state where we force our mind to be concentrated. That would be a lost battle. I don't know if you've ever tried. It's really difficult. The state of concentration, meditative concentration, is not a state of constricting the mind, but it's a state of relaxation. The mind relaxes, stays still on something, and relaxes from distractions. I don't know if you've ever read a book, and at a certain point there's nothing other than the story that you're reading. And there are no more words or pages. There's only that world that you're reading. So this is a state of concentration. Everything else just doesn't exist. The mind rests there. The state of concentration is where the mind is resting on something. And to do this, one technique that helps is, how can I say? Given that our mind is used to having many objects, we cheat the mind a little bit. We give it another object. So I don't say, don't think of nothing. I give it something to think about. And so it's there with many things, and the here and there, and then the mind is actually following this one. Starts being familiar with an inside object, and then stops following external objects, or stops being a monkey in mind. Well, I like this. It's a little bit out of context, but this technique is called the line on the nose. You visualize So there we're seated. As we're now, we take refuge, Bodhicitta, etc. You can have the visualization in front of you, but at a certain point you need to better your concentration. So you visualize at the tip of your nose, on the tip of your nose, a small dorje, where the central point is about maybe 4 millimeters. It's a really small. It's right there on the tip of your nose. And the center of that ball, when we zoom into something, that ball becomes really big. We become smaller, and that ball becomes larger. And within that ball, there's a whole universe. There's a beautiful environment with forests and lakes, and there's a lotus flower where Guru Buddha is seated. And we visualize Guru Buddha and all of the details at his heart. There's Buddha Shakyamuni at the heart of Guru Shakyamuni. There's Vajradhara at the heart of Guru Vajradhara. There's the syllable Hum, and then we zoom out and we see our environment around us, and then we zoom back in, that we see the tiny vajra on the tip of our nose. So what we should do with this is to train our mind. So it shows us that space is absolutely relative. So it allows us to imagine something. I mean, when one needs to train, well, if one says, no, I'm here in my room and my room is too small, Buddha and all the holy beings, they just don't fit. No. We can get beyond this. Open our mind. We're talking about imagining, visualizing. There's this whole process of training in visualizing. So you jump from one detail to another. Giving more details to the visualization helps us develop concentration. So on one side, it's better to start with a simple visualization, but on the other side, gradually, one should add details to train in concentration. These details, ideally, they're not details that just come spontaneously at the moment, and one needs to direct one's mind accordingly. And then you add this detail. Then you can see it also, the throne upheld by 8 lions, and then there's on top of this lion throne, there's a lotus flower, there's a sun and a moon cushion, etc., etc. Like this image, for example, of the merit field as described in the Guru Buddha. It's not because you don't have anything to do that you imagine it visualizing complicated things. No, it's to train in concentration. And then there's also your commitment being that connects with our wisdom, with the wisdom being. So if one is able to get into more details, then that's wonderful. But if you're not able, one shouldn't stay frustrated and think that they're not able. I mean, let's just start a little bit more. It's easier. So some people say, no, it's too difficult for me. I sit down to meditate. I'm just not able to visualize anything. And I tell you, it's just a question of habit. Well, because we are used to having to look outside. Instead, our attention here, we look inside. We create. We imagine, we create this imagined experience. And we give ourselves the time, give us our time to imagine. We create this inner experience, and when we finish the practice, we come back. We're here. You'll have your family, your job, etc. But this interaction in visualization would transform us, has a really strong power. So we visualize Guru Buddha in front of us. Once we've done that, in the simplest visualization, we imagine that there's a throne. The throne represents the qualities. It's upheld by 8 lions. So on each corner, there are 2 lions that uphold him. Lions, it's something, it's just a curiosity here. It's kind of nice. The Tibetan, these snow lions, I mean, I don't know how they are actually in Tibet. They talk about snow lions. But over time, I found really what I think are the real Tibetan lions. I don't know if you've ever think of white Tibetan mastiffs. They are enormous with a white fur. I think that's what the Tibetans call lions. That's my point of view. They're beautiful. They represent joy. The snow lions represent strength, courage, and joy. And they jump from one mountain to another. So we visualize these 8 lions who uphold the throne. They represent the qualities of having overcome fear, like fear itself, but also jealousy, envy, hatred, resentment. Makes reference to overcoming unlimited attachment, one's own selfishness. I mean, all the things we really should be afraid of. So these lions represent overcoming. I don't know if you can see here, but here in front of the throne of Lama Ganchen, see, there you can see the lions. You see the 2 lions there on the throne of Trijang Rinpoche's throne. There are 2 lions. And in the middle, there's the double Vajra, which is a symbol of stability. So with this double Vajra, is there the swastika in this representation, or maybe on the one on Lama Ganchen's throne? So so normally there would be a swastika on each of the corners, but when Buddhism arrived to the West, people started being surprised and asking, why is there a swastika here? Or often it would be on the ground. It represents stability in Buddhism, and it's a very ancient symbol, and it's often put in front of a throne to represent stability and health. So on the throne we visualize these 4 lions that uphold the throne. When the throne is usually made of something precious, and not to give value to the person, but to the qualities that person represents, and to the Dharma itself. So this, on top of the throne, there's the lotus flower, and at the center we imagine this lotus flower with a sun and a moon cushion. And here's a very specific detail: if we visualize our guru, who is still alive, we shouldn't visualize the lotus flower, but we should visualize directly the moon and the sun cushion, white and orangish. If our guru has already left his body, then we visualize also the lotus flower for a positive interdependence, because it said once one it said that one can be reborn in could be reborn from a lotus flower in the land of the devas. So if our guru is still alive in a lotus flower, it could create a negative interdependence of him having a short life. But don't worry if you visualized like that before, but this is just a detail. So the sun and moon Kishin represent that the master is seated on, so the lotus flower represents normally love for oneself, renunciation, nijung, and the moon and sun cushion would be the balance between masculine and feminine energy. The moon disk is method and masculine energy, and the sun disk would be wisdom and female energy. In Tibetan, so symbolism, for speaking of energies, the moon is masculine and the sun is feminine, and the masculine energy is connected to compassion and action, and the female energy, wisdom. And in our culture, it might be the opposite, that because we think about that compassion is something is more maternal, and the wisdom would be more in like the intellect. But no, wisdom is about intuition. It's about perceiving reality on a deeper level, on a more intuitive level. And compassion is not something emotional. It's about action. It's about doing. So if the book is falling from the table, compassion isn't about feeling bad that the book is falling off the table. Compassion is doing everything possible so that the book doesn't fall off. So when we talk about method, action, love, and compassion, it's about acting for the happiness and diminishing the suffering of others. So it's not about suffering for the suffering of others. It's not this sentimental aspect that one might think is there behind the feeling of compassion, and wisdom instead is not. It's not related to intellect or intelligence. Wisdom is our ability to understand in a non-rational way the correct view of reality. So, and this goes beyond man or woman. Both men and women have both female and masculine energy. So above we have Guru Buddha seated in the aspect of our own guru, as we said before, as is closest to us. I mean, who is the one who touches our heart the most? If we don't have a specific person, we can imagine him in the aspect of Buddha Shakyamuni or our Lama Je Tsong Khapa. That's absolutely fine. Then there are practices where there are specific visualizations. Now we're giving you just like general visualizations according to the LamRim. So even if we don't need to invite the wisdom beings, because where the commitment being is, the holy beings are already there, but we could create this idea that, it's only my imagination. So to go beyond this, we visualize, we invite the wisdom being to come. And here is just this is a really beautiful part, because we've visualized in front of us Buddha, Guru Buddha. Let's try to get a little bit in the details. We can see maybe the right hand is in the mudra of teaching the Dharma, the left in meditative concentration. The legs are cross, the back is straight, the left represents the importance of the practice, the importance of meditation, and the right, the importance of knowing the Dharma, transmitting the Dharma. We imagine that the Guru smiles to us. And at this point, we imagine that from the heart of Guru Buddha, there's the syllable Hung, and this point, which is this very subtle mind, and then light rays go into all the 10 directions to all the holy beings. So it goes towards Lama Je Tsong Khapa, Buddha Shakyamuni, our own gurus, Lama Michel Rinpoche, all holy beings. We imagine these light rays go out. They touch the heart of every holy being, wherever they are, and they invite them to come here. We're making an invitation. These light rays, remember, they're like magnets that attract. So it's a request. It goes to each one of them. And as we're making this this invocation, this verse, where we're inviting the wisdom beings, it was said the first time by a princess named Magatasama. She lived in India, and at a certain point, she was sent in marriage in Sri Lanka, and so she went to live there. She was very sad because she was used to going to see the Buddha, and she practiced Buddhism. She would go and to his disciples, and then she went to this context where Buddhism wasn't present, and she always spoke about Buddha to this man she married. And one day they told her, "Oh, if it's so important, this Buddha is so important to you, why don't you invite him?" And she said, "Okay." And said, "You prepare a banquet." So it's said that she actually organized this enormous meal. So it was the habit. I mean, it was usual to invite and offer a meal. And so she was on this terrace above the house, and she recites this verse, this Malu Semchen Kungi Gungyuchi de Dupunche Michet Somzela, where she says, Malu Semchen Kungi Gungyuchi, you who are the protector of all beings without exception. And, the endless subduer of demonic beings. There are 4 types of demons. The demons of our mental defilements. There's the demon and then also brings you your mental defilements. There are the actual mental defilements. Then there's the demon that our own aggregates, our mind and body that are polluted. And then there's the demon of death, that time goes by and that we will have to die. And then there's the demon of external interferences, that can be other people or spirits, and with who we interact, and it brings a negative a negative interdependence. So when we talk about endless subduer of demonic beings or spirits, it's about reaching this immortality that we talked about before, about overcoming our mental defilements, reaching a state of peace. And in many cultures, there are words that are used. For example, in India, it was very common to use, to talk about spirits, and demons, etc. So the same words were used also in Tibetan, but it makes reference. It makes reference to our inner demons, our mental defilements. So, protector of all beings without exception, endless subduer of demonic beings and energies, perfect knower of all things. You with your disciples, Bhagavan in attendance, please come here. And so it said that after she made this request, Buddha actually came together with his disciples, and the story says they had these magical powers. They were able to fly and go from one place to another. And that day, Buddha came with some of his disciples, and they went there. They received this meal that was prepared for them, and they concede the Dharma, and so it worked. It worked. That prayer worked that time, and so let's keep using it. So after 2,500 years, we're still using the same verse. And the first time Lama Rinpoche told this story, I don't know why or how, but when he would talk about Makata Sama, it gets so emotional. And just really, rarely would I see him like that. When he talked about this princess, he almost as if he had been there. I mean, I would really cry. So we recite these verses and we make this request. We say, please, Guru Buddha, Bhagavan, in your attendance, please come here. Let's imagine if we invite someone important to our house, we need to give a reason. Someone very busy like that, we can't just invite them because we like them. We say, please come here to bless me, so that I, through the help of your blessings, I want to develop myself. I want to develop love towards myself, love towards others, develop the correct view of reality. I want to transform myself along this path to help others. So we give the reason as to why we invite Guru Buddha. And we imagine that Guru Buddha accepts our request. All the holy beings accept our request, and they come towards us, each one. And we imagine this rain of wisdom beings, like snowfall on the sea. Imagine the snow that falls in the ocean, and each snowflake gets absorbed into the water, and the water when it drops is a little harder, and snowflake is softer. It just absorbs right into the water. And similarly, these beings, some are as big as mountains, some are as small as atoms, in every kind of form. They all absorb into the pores of Guru Buddha visualized in front of us. And in the text of Guru Puja, we say, Om Guru Buddha Bodhisattva Dharma Pala Sapariware. And if we want to simplify it, we can just say Za Hum Bam Ho. When we do like this, Za Hum Bam Ho, which the meaning is Za is the invitation. So with Za, I invite the wisdom beings. With Hum, the wisdom beings come and they absorb into Guru Buddha. Za Hum Bam, they absorb completely, and then Ho, they become inseparable and of the same nature. Za, I invite. Za Hum, they absorb. The Bam, they absorb completely, and the Ho, they are completely of the same nature. And so they're not So I recall them, and they all come here. I have my commitment beings, and I'm calling the wisdom beings. And here, it really depends a lot on our our desire to invite them. I mean, take a long time to describe the how and the why, but it's very clearly explained that a body that doesn't have a gross body communicates from mind to mind and just goes, with the speed of thought. If I think about Tara, if I think about my wisdom being, that being actually comes. His presence is real. It's no longer just something we imagine. And once we're in the presence of Guru Buddha, now what do? First of all, we should praise. And here we begin the practice of the 7 limbed prayer. The 7 things. In the past, this is what was done when someone would when someone important would arrive. I mean, there's 7 actions that should be done to cultivate the correct relationship with our spiritual guide. But with anyone, actually, it's something beautiful and very important. Buddha described it as it being so important that we should do it all the time. So here we're in front of a friend, we're in front of our spiritual guide. That relationship shouldn't be taken for granted. It needs to be cultivated. And we all know this. When there's a relationship with affection, that just needs to be taken care of. So 7 things to do. And in this context, it's towards Guru Buddha. But generally speaking, we can apply it also to other relationships. In the part of the preliminaries of the Lam Rim, before this, there's a short part where we do the ablutions. That in the Guru Puja, you can add it. It's the original text is not there. We imagine that we offer the bath to Guru Buddha. We imagine a kind of the thermal bath. There's the whole description of this palace with the pillars made of precious stones, and you imagine this beautiful place as a bathroom. So you imagine Guru Buddha who comes to take a bath, and so I visualize. Well, does he take his clothes off? Does he not take his clothes off? How am I supposed to imagine him? Don't make any problems for yourself. Can someone bring me a mirror? The one usually if it's there, good. Otherwise, because usually, so we visualize this place. The description that's given, it feels it's like these Arab baths. We imagine this a place like beautiful the thermal baths, and you offer the bath, and you pour this nectar water over the divinities, over the dakas and dakinis, masculine, feminine, over these with these vases, and they clean their bodies. And even if the Buddha doesn't have the necessity to be cleansed of negativities, but we imagine offering this. We imagine offering this bath and with this mantra, Oma Sarva Tathagata Abhishekata Samayashe Ahum. And during the ceremonies, you can see it's really quite nice. What they do is there's a round mirror, usually made of silver, and we draw 2 horizontal and 2 vertical lines, and then and then the four points, which would be the foundation of the bath. And then we imagine that all the holy beings come and they absorb. They come to this bathroom, and then you pour the water. Imagine that they are actually having the bathroom, and once you finish that, then you take the towel, because in this the kata you do om hum chamri. So you dry up the whole body, kaya abhisheka chehum, and when we bring the towel towards us, and then we offer perfumed oil, and then we put on the clothes, and then jewels, and then we conclude the practice, and then the mirror goes back up, and they go back to their natural dimora, their natural home. So these are techniques of to make offerings that are based on us, and our practices, our daily practice. Someone arriving and taking after a long voyage, you can offer a beautiful bath, and after the bath, then you can go and eat and have a feast. So this practice of this ablution is a way to offer the best, but also it's a technique to purify our own minds. So in the text of the liberation of the palm of your hands, there's a detailed explanation, after which begins the 7 limb prayers, which are: we praise, then, or we make prostrations, we make praise, we make offerings. No shayi chuchupa maluvu. Tomene sandi tutam sheshag. We openly admit our errors. We clean the past. Kepa gewanam la jeirang. We rejoice. We celebrate all positive aspects. Korwa matung bardule shune. We request all the Buddhas to remain. And the 5th and the 6th, sometimes the order changes. You can ask for the Dharma, ask to remain until the end of samsara. And then the 7th is to dedicate. In other words, we praise, make praise. So that you are here, and I recognize your presence. I mean, if somebody walks into the room, what's the minimum we need to do? We need to stand up or shake someone's hand or nod. If we don't do anything, it just means your presence means nothing to me. Instead, if someone comes in, maybe we stand up, we say hello. If I'm talking and someone else arrives, I stop for a minute and I say hello, and I'm taking stock of your arrival, of your presence. So here I have Buddha in front of me. Wow. And I make praise. So I make prostrations. And it's the same thing on a very mundane level. If we get home and there's somebody else, what's the first thing we should do? We should say hi. Say hello, to see the other person with affection. Oh, you're here. Just be present for the other for a moment, not just as a formality. So when we make prostrations, normally with the prostrations, first we put our hands to the top of our head and the forehead, the throat, and then our heart. But don't use me as an example. I have a frozen shoulder. I'm having a little bit of problem, so I can't really go further than my forehead. So we go from, and then we can bow a little bit, or we can even just simply unite our hands. if we make the longer prostrations, we do from the top of our head, to our forehead, our throat, and our neck, and then we go down and we put our knees and we touch our forehead to the ground. If I'm doing a long prostration, and then I extend my whole body forward, and then I touch my forehead, I touch my arms, and then I come back up. So making prostrations is a way to rejoice also for the presence of, it's a marvelous practice. You can do, actually the exercise, if at this point of the practice, one could even stand up, imagining Guru Buddha, and you can just start doing prostrations 7, 21, 100 times, as many as you want. It's a beautiful practice. For a long time, I did prostrations every day, but instead of counting, I would time myself. I would do a half an hour of prostrations. And so I would really be concentrated for half an hour on doing these prostrations in front of Guru Buddha. And it's a beautiful practice. But it's here what's important is we are praising, we are paying homage. So verbally we can praise the qualities of someone. Oh, what a beautiful person you are. So here the qualities of our guru, and we here I'm praising physically by putting my hands together and making prostrations, or mentally I can praise when I'm thinking about his qualities, her qualities, with a great sense of gratitude. So if I can connect to the qualities of that being mentally, and so I can do it mentally or verbally if I'm reciting something, or with my body making prostration. So this is about paying homage, and everyone can do the practice of prostrations. It's wonderful, even for physical activity. But it's really important that when you go down, you need to once you go down, you need to come back up quickly. You don't just stay down. I had a friend, Pema, our friend Pema. It was the brother of one of my teachers, and he's Down syndrome, and he was beautiful. And when his brother went to Bodh Gaya for 2 months to do a prostration retreat, he would do the practice as we explained up to this point, and visualizing his merit fields, and then he would start doing prostrations. And in about 3 months, he did 100,000 prostrations. So he brought his brother, Pema, and Pema would do prostrations, but then, he would sometimes get tired. So maybe, he would do 2 prostrations, and the third one, he would just stay down. Anyway, Pema was one of the most beautiful people I've ever met. So when we go down, we get up quickly. But this attitude of paying homage is important. We have Guru Buddha in front of me. We pay homage. And let's remember that when we, on a more mundane level, we're with someone and we want to praise someone, and we want to connect with the importance of that person, or the gratitude that we feel. We can do this. We can do the same. We can praise that person. The second point has to do with making the offerings. As we said before, it's when we materialize feelings. It's gratitude, respect, faith, love, affection. And you should never go with empty hands. No, maybe at the end of teachings, when you come to say hello to me, you come with this kata. Why? Because one should never go to one's own master, or to anyone actually, one's own spiritual guide, empty-handed. If you go eat at someone's house, what do? If in the Tibetan culture, or in the Asian culture, I mean, you just never go empty-handed. In India too, in India there were flowers, and in Tibet there was a kata to not go empty-handed. The kata is a super solution. The Tibetans are great at finding this. So let's this. They said, okay, since we're not supposed to ever go with empty-handed, then we use, always use the kata. It's like for example, similar to traveling on a day that astrologically is not favorable. So if you need to travel on a day that's not favorable, in our Western way, what would we do? Or we don't care, or we would change our travel date. Tibetans know. So I have a ticket to fly on Wednesday, but it's a terrible day to travel. So you go Monday or Tuesday, and you sleep at someone's house near the airport. You left your house on Monday or Tuesday, so your trip began then, and then you take that flight afterwards. So they're right, So we need to be careful that it doesn't become a way to kind of cheat. So bringing the kata is nice, but it's because you shouldn't go with empty-handed. You bring something, the kata, you get it back, which represents the fact that the Lama has accepted your request for blessings. So getting the kata back, you're receiving the blessings. So generally we should always bring something. And as we said before, the right offering is what we can give, what's not too little and not too much. Here, for example, we have a moment of just sharing the Dharma. Nobody's asked for anything on economically speaking. I mean, this is the tradition has been done for centuries. I've never paid for teachings, but I've never received teachings for which I have never given an offering. So if there are many days, if there are teachings of many days, the first day we make an offering, as a request, and then the last day as a way to thank. So even if you say, oh, Lama doesn't need anything, but the one giving, we need to cultivate our gratitude, our respect. So, and it's not about the material value. I mean, even a flower, it's about putting that energy into materializing that feeling. That's that second part of making the offerings. When we make the offerings, there are the mudras of the offering. There's various visualizations. Maybe tomorrow we can go quickly into those details. The third limb is about openly admitting one's mistake. It's incredibly important. It means you're there. Thank you for your presence. I make homage to you. I make a gift to you to manifest my positive feelings towards you. And I want to clean anything, clean any kind of tension or negativity that has existed between us in the past. so that we can go forward. So what do? I see my behavior, the negative behavior that wasn't right. I'm sorry that day I answered like this, or that day I did this, that, or the other. We openly admit this error. And this is a beautiful act of maturity, to be able to openly admit our mistakes instead of pretending or giving, making, putting it onto someone else's shoulder. It's happened. People have come to me and say, "Oh, Lama, I'm so sorry. I had these terrible thoughts about you." I say, "Oh, how wonderful!" Not how wonderful that you have these negative thoughts. I mean, that's part of the path, but or a life. But how wonderful that you can say it, openly and transparently. And if you don't want this to happen again, then this will help. Instead of when we hide, if we pretend that conflict or doesn't exist, and we expect it to just disappear, but it actually becomes more rigid, and more solid, and we don't even, at a certain point, we don't even know how to take hold of it. So every day is important. So every day we see each other. Okay, this morning I did this or that. I'm sorry. I was taken by anger, or I take the commitment to, I take the commitment to be more present so that this doesn't happen again. It'll probably happen again, but I deeply hope that it doesn't, So we want to get out of this dynamic. But when we ask for forgiveness and clean our past, this has an enormous power, so that we don't accumulate tension. So when we're in front of Guru Buddha, first of all, we openly admit any negativity that was generated on our side towards our Guru. Doubts or negative judgments, criticisms. It happens. We're beings with mental defilements, and maybe one feels competitive, or the closer one is, the more we add our expectations. For example, oh, that day you didn't answer me, you didn't look at me. And then we can feel bad about it, and and then we can look for defects. We can, so any kind of impurity that was created in this relationship with our Guru, with the Buddha, with the Sangha. They try really to clean it, and it's not we shouldn't generate a sense of shame. It's about seeing what we did as an error, and if we see it as an error, then we put energy into not doing it again, and even in our daily life with the relationships with other people, it's not that I ask for forgiveness from you. Because it's not important to actually get your forgiveness. What's important is cleaning the tension between us and not repeating that action. It's not, you say, okay, I'm sorry, do you forgive me? Oh yes, I forgive you, that everything's fine. No. What's important along this process is I admit that I behaved in such a way that doesn't work. I recognize it, how wonderful that I can see that, so that I can take the commitment to not repeat that action, that kind of action. So that little by little, so repeating that kind of behavior happens more and more seldom. and for shorter and shorter times. It's normal when you have a relationship with another being, another person, that there'll be, behavior that doesn't work. But it's not about going to Guru Buddha, and it's not that Guru Buddha's mad at me or is upset with me. It's happened. I went to one of my masters, and I excused myself for something I did, and it was particular because it wasn't even my behavior, but it was very connected to me, and anyway, I had created lots of tension. And it was beautiful because when you openly admit and say, this happened and there was this behavior that created this result, and I'm really sorry. And then naturally that just relaxes and like melts it all. And that tension just unravels. When at this moment in front of our guru, first of all, in front of our guru, the Buddha, our guru, the Sangha. So in this moment, any tension that has been created, this is the most important thing now. And then also in a general way. And here you can insert the purification practices. But it's a long, so maybe tomorrow we can talk about this. I just wanted to conclude briefly the 7 limbs. So we make praise, we make offerings, we openly admit our errors, we make peace with the past, we celebrate, we rejoice how wonderful that we're together, that there's this opportunity, that you've done this, you've done that. And so we see Guru Buddha, we thank for everything that we've received and everything that he or she has done. To rejoice is like celebrating all the positive, virtuous things. Wow, I'm so happy. We celebrate these things. We recognize them. And this is very, very important. And it's strange to say it, but sometimes it's more difficult to rejoice than to openly admit our mistakes. But actually rejoicing is very powerful, even in our daily life. If someone in the family, if someone openly admits their mistakes, then we should rejoice about it. Oh, how wonderful. Thank you for this. How wonderful. Show gratitude and rejoice for positive things, both for the things that we do and also things about others, other people's qualities, positive actions. We rejoice mostly towards holy beings, the other sentient beings, and towards ourselves. After having rejoiced, we say, okay, you invited Guru Buddha, you're here, I've paid homage, I've made offerings, I've openly admitted my mistake, have rejoiced for all the virtues, and now Guru Buddha says, now what do you want from me? I want you to guide me along the path. So we say, please guide me along the path every day. Guide me with the Dharma, every word that I say, every thought that I have, every choice that I make. Guide me with the Dharma until Buddhahood. Guide me with compassion, with love, with wisdom. Be there for me. So we make this request. And then if we're talking on a mundane level with a relationship with other people, we say, we need to have this clarity of what we want from others. Because if I expect something from you that you're not able to give me. Maybe I don't even know that you have those expectations, and you say, why haven't you haven't satisfied my expectations? And the other one didn't even know. We need to have clarity, and that naturally facilitates, it diminishes the possibilities for conflict, even for ourselves. It clarifies things for ourselves. What do I expect from you? Like one quality, when we talk about the relationship with a guru, but one quality, one shouldn't look for it in the guru. I mean, if it's there, it's there. But if it's not, that's okay too. I mean, you shouldn't look for a nice or fun guru. It's not someone that I'm supposed to go out and enjoy his company or have fun with. No, it's someone who should guide me on the path. Je Tsong Rinpoche, one of the most marvelous masters. I never met him myself, but I've been told that he was really tough to be around. He was one of Lama Ganchen's masters. He was at his side as an attendant for about two years, and Rinpoche would, be yelled at least 4 times a day. He was incredibly precise, and he guided in an incredible way. But he wasn't the friend you go out to have a pizza with. Just to give you an idea that it's okay. What do I expect from you? Are you teaching me the Dharma? You're welcoming me. You're guiding me along the path, for my inner growth. That's what I expect from you. If you're expecting to always be nice to you, that's another kind of relationship. So it's important to have this clarity. What does one expect from the other? To make sure that these expectations are mutually understood. So from Guru Buddha, what do I expect? And for how long? How long do we want to be together? For how long do we want that? So I go to the dentist. How I go to the dentist and I expect him to treat my teeth well, and I want this relationship to last as long as I need him to take care of my teeth. But with my relationship with my guru, I expect until I reach Buddhahood. So I make this a request to remain until as long as I am as long as I haven't gotten out of samsara and reached Buddhahood. So at the same time, if we meet someone, okay, what does our future look like? Are we looking at a couple months together? We're looking at a lifetime together. And that 7th point is the dedication. The dedication is, okay, all of this, why do I want all of this? I want, oh Guru Buddha, I want you to transmit the Dharma to me and guide me until the end of samsara, because I want every being to get out of suffering. I want to get out of samsara and become a Buddha so that I can help every being get out of samsara. I dedicate this relationship. I dedicate what's between us. I dedicate all the fruits of this relationship for the good of all beings. So one looks with the dedication, we look back at our initial motivation. So when we start something, why am I doing what I'm doing? I generate motivation with the taking of refuge and the generation of the Bodhicitta. And then with the dedication, I look again, like, why did I do what I did? So I dedicate, I offer all that positive karmic force that I've generated for the happiness of all sentient beings. So we have praise, offerings, openly admitting mistakes, rejoicing, request for teachings, our future, the prospects for the future, how long we want to stay together, and our dedication. So I'll let you to reflect a little bit on these 7 points. Look at them. They're really a key, a very, very precious key to cultivate any kind of relationship. And it's not that one needs to simply go like a kind of ritual of 7 points, but once a week at least one go and there are people that we're close to, praise them, give them something, look at our behavior, rejoice for the beautiful things, have clarity for the things that we want, look at our future together, and dedicate, not just for the I and the my, but for something greater than ourselves. I mean, that means a lot. And so when we're in the presence of Guru Buddha, these are the 7 things to do. And just to conclude, these 7 limb prayers, it's not a ritual. I mean, there is the ritual of the 7 limb prayer, like the recitation, Gosum Gupe Kone Chat Selo. Okay, I've done it. Right, next. Okay. I'm supposed to do the 7 limbs every day. No, I recited the verses of the 7 limb prayer. But beyond this kind of recitation ritual, it's an inner process to cultivate a relationship. So every day that I pay homage to my guru, I'm cultivating faith and respect. Every time I make offerings, I'm or ever, when I look back at my negative behavior, or rejoice for all the virtues, make requests. I mean, I'm reinforcing all this positive relationship. I have clarity about what I want, and this projection of towards the future. This all pushes me towards the future in a very healthy way. And this is a way to cultivate this relationship. And it's something that we should do with a certain amount of constancy, even when we're in the physical presence of the person or of our guru. And we make praise, we make offerings, we openly admit our mistakes, we rejoice for all the positive virtues. We request for them to stay with us. We have clarity of what we're expecting. We ask them to stay with us, and then we dedicate. This is something that should be done in general. Mostly when we're together, and when we're not together, you visualize. But it's something because once relationships are established, they need to be cultivated, and this is a point that really needs to be taken into consideration. If once we have created a relationship with someone, it's not finished there. It's just the beginning, and it needs to be cultivated day after day, and it's not easy. There are moments of doubt and uncertainty of where, something's missing. I mean, this is normal. So once we create a relationship with our spiritual guide, there's some kind of exchange. It needs to be cultivated. And the way to cultivate it is by way of these 7 limbs. Now, it's time for our dedications for today. Tomorrow, we will look at the 7 limbs in more detail, up to the mandala offering and the request, the request of blessings, and then like that, we will be finished with the 7 limb prayers, and then we go to the next points of the Lam Rim.
Shame to Rama re raba ling shin ni de gem pa di sange shin to mikte ulwar ki dro kun namanda shin lam che par sho je tsong lame kutse rapten chin nam kara chin le chot lo san tempe drume sasumgi drove munsel takto ne gyur che yidam guru ratna mindral kam niryata yami Chancho semcho rinpoche ma ke panam ke gyurche ke pa nyambra me pa yang kongne konto pevra sho yanda tawa rinpoche ma ke panam ke gyurche ke pa nyambra me pa yang kongne konto pelwar sho. Facciamo una dedica.
Let's make a special dedication for all the people who are sick, in particular for Letizia, this girl here, part of this is a Brazilian girl, part of our Sangha, who has a surgery today, something quite delicate. I'd like to make a special dedication for her.
Drove neni malupa takto chungwa me barasho me nama tudan dembadang sanga dejo druba ye kandro simbola sopa ninje semdan dengyur che chonama kuna ludan sem donga neba chinye pa Teda dage sonam ki dega gyatso toparasho.
May every being ailing with disease be free at once from every malady. May every sickness that afflicts the living be wholly and forever absent from the world.
Takto delek pe kuncho sumke chingelo kuncho sumke ngodrubut sol kuncho sumke trashisho
At dawn or at dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to receive all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Thank you, everyone. Now, if you like to come for a short short greeting, there will also be the recitation of the Guru Puja. So as I said, sometimes the very important things are converted into a kind of ritualistic, into a ritual, but it's an inner experience that should be happening, and the Guru Puja is a very good example of that.